Good day, everybody. Welcome to another What's Up Wednesday. Do we have a hot show for you tonight? Pun intended for sure. And this is our, I think, our 29th week of consecutive What's Up Wednesday. So thank you for joining. Really appreciate that. We have a big group in the house tonight, and I already see folks rolling in. Let's take a peek at them quick. Ron was first in line to get into the lobby. So Ron, welcome. Appreciate you being out there, sir. This is all about you asking questions. So this is the question format. This was started by Kevin Martin, 30 and a Wake Up is his YouTube channel. He's in Thailand right now, not in a van, in a hotel. If you can put three asterisks followed by 3 question marks, that helps me find your question quickly. And my first question for you is, where are you watching from? So we've got Kentucky in the house tonight. That's awesome. Charlotte, what a great town. Charlotte, North Carolina. And Springfield, Missouri was just there. Rhonda and Ron came to our channel roundup. Awesome couple. They have a Coachman Nova that's due in any minute, and they're going all in full-time van life. I'm such a treat to meet them. Such a cool couple. Minnesota in the house. Las Vegas in the house. Now I have to ask, is that Las Vegas, New Mexico, or Las Vegas? I never knew there was another Las Vegas. Apparently there's 2 of them. We got a big show for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And again, thank you for watching. I'm coming at you live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's summertime, and people are going like, it's really hot. And it's summertime. It's supposed to be hot. This is from the Dark Sky weather app that I use a lot. That shows the whole globe, and you can kind of spin the globe and see where the heat is. You will be very happy to know you will be happy not living in Riyadh tonight, because it is in the hundreds there. So pretty crazy. So let me know where you're watching from. That's very, very cool. And if we get a neat new country, we will post that on the next week's show. We've had some awesome viewers from around the globe. We have a lot of events coming up. I'm working overtime for you to put these roundups together. That's where we get together for a few hours. And a caravan is where we get together and we drive a period of time, distance, about 100 miles generally. We have 3 events coming up over in the next week or so, associated with Route 66, which I am running from Chicago to LA. Hoping to be in LA by end of August. And if you are in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, let me zoom in so you guys can see. This is on my website for sure. Roundup in Tulsa, Oklahoma, next Thursday, August 5. Excuse me, take a drink. And then we're doing a caravan from Tulsa to Oklahoma City on August 7th. That's a Saturday. And then separately later that night, we're going to do another roundup. At OK Cider Company. Sorry about that. And in Tulsa, we're going to do a little different. We're going to meet at this historical site in Tulsa around Route 66, and we're going to drive just a few miles to Hank's Hamburgers. I've driven by there. It's still in business, and it looks really awesome. So we're going to have a short drive and enjoy some Route 66 food. I'm really, really excited about that. It does, let me pop back here, it does require an Eventbrite ticket. If tickets are free, you buy your own food and beverage and whatever, but that lets me know who's showing up, how many, and to help give the venue and me a sense of number of folks we should be looking out for. So Eventbrite, sorry to make you sign up for that. It's a piece of cake, and it's free to sign up with those guys. Again, we're on the move doing Route 66, Chicago to LA, and if you're into travel, into van life, you should be subscribing to this channel because we are posting videos like crazy right now. And we have no guest tonight. It's just little old me, but we do have a special guest coming up on August 12th, and I've asked Jack Johnson, co-founder and CTO of Volta, to join the show again. Why? Because they have see those 5 here. I'll zoom in so you can see this. They have 5 accreditations now, 5 certifications. You're probably familiar with Underwriters Laboratory. These are similar and even stronger certifications that they have now achieved, and we want to have Jack explain that to us, and why like Storyteller can put their Volta inside the van, and why mine is I guess on the outside. That's the same space, so I have water, I guess, I don't know. But Jack is joining us, is the bottom line there. So get your Volta question spun up on August 12th show. and stay updated. If you were on Instagram and you're following me, when I was running Route 66 from Springfield to Tulsa on Sunday, and God, where was I on Saturday? I was posting pretty frequently, and that's this fly, and that's how to get real-time updates. Is to follow me on Instagram. Go Small Live Large. Just search it; it should pop up. And of course, go to my website. Sign up for the newsletter. We're up to about 500 folks on that now, and we'll post information there as well. So recently posted this video, the adventure van. This is Rover Vans, made in Chicago. This van, it's a short roof transit and sleeps 4 people. It's pretty amazing. It has kind of a storyteller groove lounge seating thing under that bed that comes down out of the ceiling like a revel. And Peter was really gracious to give us some time. So if you hadn't seen that and you're into van builders, you'll want to check out his website and that video for sure. And then coming up this weekend, I'm got a little RV fridge water hack tip for you. This was 2 months in the making, and really 2 years of frustration with that bottle I'm holding there. And I came up with a really awesome hack that holds more water, doesn't evaporate in the fridge, creating frost, which then you have to defrost, which makes the fridge run less often, which is pretty amazing. So cool video coming up. And of course, our viewer question of the night is around the heat. So we got the recommendation and song of the week, and a big show, shall we say, as it always is. I'm just so pleased to have you here. Okay, so let's look at some of these. Let me get this off the screen. Get some of these comments here. Got a lot of folks coming in tonight. Again, this is all about you. It's live, YouTube live Q&A. So what kind of van life questions do you have? Places, travel, RV systems. We're going to talk about AC a little bit tonight. And that's kind of the point here, because it's pretty hot. It's currently, let me just slide over here. Yeah, it's 94 degrees in Tulsa. And it's about 95% humidity. It's unbelievably miserable outside. But it's summer. It's kind of supposed to be hot and miserable. So Kathmandu says that they have a 6000 BTU solar-powered mini-split in my ProMaster. You will have to tell me more. I can't believe that can keep up. You say it's great. I'm believing you. But, man, I would love to know those conditions, and we'll talk more about this in a little bit. We're going to start doing the question of the week at about 15 minutes after the hour, after the show starts. So if you're watching, you can get to the topic of the evening that we made a thumbnail about, which we want to have those folks that came specific to that get to see that content. So we're doing a question of the week, which is the around the temperature at where there it is right there, right? At 15 minutes after the hour. So we'll take questions and we'll do that particular subject, and then we'll keep going. So let's see who else we got in here. Oh, Kathmandu has the same thermometer. It's pretty cool thermometer, right? Pretty awesome. Michael Clark is in Arizona and knows about the chasing low temperatures. Goes to Prescott Valley, Pine Mountain, Lemon, places that go and cool off in the AZ. Yeah, Arizona gets really hot. It's a dry heat though, and there is a difference actually. Here's Kalamazoo, present counted for. That's great. A lot of folks in here tonight. Let's see. This is great. I lost track. Stand by, please. So here's Rich from Streamwood. Good to see you, sir. And here's Jim from Rochester, Michigan, waiting for his Beyond to be built. Yeah, the monsoons or even any rain, really. Mike's kind of alluding to the 103 degrees in Mesa, and it cooled down. Wow, that's what, 20 degrees, something like that, 30 degrees? That's crazy. Michigan in the house. Vandemic, good to see you, sir. And Fort Worth, Kim and Tim, what's up? And there's Bob Scott, Flagler Beach, awesome. Mary Brown is reminding us it's Las Vegas, Nevada. If you go to my website, I'm hoping we can pull this off. There is Las Vegas, New Mexico, on Route 66, a drive-in theater that's still operating, and we'd love to do a van roundup there, watch a movie from our vans. Wouldn't that be cool? Okay, so questions. Let's get those questions rolling in. This is how can I help you be a better RVer? Whether you're no time, still researching, full time like me, no awards for being a full timer, that's for sure, or just part timing, taking great trips on over days, weekends, months, weeks. Deborah wants to know: need a spare tire And side rack, only know of landed gear. Will this work with a K02 tire? Philly area, by the way, and hello, Scott. Hello, Deborah. I don't know. I'm not familiar with landed gear. We will have to do some work. I'm going to try and take some notes of this stuff so we can do some research. But landed gear, I'm not familiar with. Anybody in the audience tonight familiar with them? For a spare tire, the K02s, they fit on standard rims. There's nothing overly special about the tires except the bite, the grip. But I don't know your answer to your question there specifically. Sorry about that. So here's Liz. Hi Scott, what do you think of Cruise and Comfort 12 volt AC? Never heard of it. We'll write that one down too. Cruise and Comfort. Maybe somebody here knows about that and can clue us in. I'm all for a 12 volt air conditioner system. Mine requires the inverter to be turned on. 12 volt AC. And so that's what I'm familiar with. Embassy and Coachman is installing 12 volts to my knowledge. Embassy is for sure. I think Coachman is as well. Draws less energy, probably. Does it cool? I've been in some of the Embassy rigs and they run pretty cool. So I'm just not overly familiar with that particular unit, so we'll have to do some homework. If somebody knows something about that, chime in. Here's Tom in Wisconsin hanging with us. That's great. So Rob's got a good question here. Scott, what loyalty programs are worthwhile? Points add up fast. What's your favorites? KOA, Pilot, etc. That's a great question. I think as RVers or just concerned consumers, the loyalty programs in the airlines, the only one I really found to be valuable was Southwest. And when I was flying a lot and Kyle was flying a lot, we routinely hit enough to maintain a companion pass, which means if I had the points and that status companion pass, he could fly with me. It could be anybody in your family, really, maybe even a friend, can fly for free with you. That is an amazing loyalty program. What I've found with not flying anymore, except I'm actually flying tomorrow to Florida, coming back on Monday. The Costco card is really awesome for RVers because you get 4% back on gasoline purchases, and it's really juicy, really juicy benefit. And it's kind of a 4-3-2-1. You get like 3% off restaurants and things like that, and 1% off everything else, and I can't remember what the number 2 is, but that's a great loyalty card. It's operated by Citi, but if you're a Costco member and haven't signed up for that, I would highly encourage that. I get quite a few hundreds of dollars back every year, largely because of gasoline, so I would recommend that one. And then Rob, you mentioned KOA specifically. Let me see if I can share this with you. What does it show that I'm not familiar with? So let me do it this way. Well, yeah, it's going to show too much. If you're a frequent parker in a commercial park, RV park, a KOA has a good loyalty program, and you save 10%. You save 10% off each night, and each night you get points. Those points add up to free nights. Let me see if I can get in here, and I want to show all my stuff here. Sorry about that, but it's a really good program, and rewards. I'll show that. Yeah, this. So you can see I'm in their VIP status. I think I could show this. So let me show this. You guys see that? So people some people have said that I'm giving KOA a commercial. I talk about things that I use and I would recommend. I get nothing for recommending KOA, but it's really, they have a fantastic app for tablets and phones, and you can, it's a very consistent experience. Generally, what's inconsistent is the Wi-Fi, but everything else is pretty consistent. So those add up. I did the math. I can stay almost like 10 days for free in a KOA just because I've been using their loyalty program. So that's what I would recommend. Getting a Costco card, if you're a Costco member, for the gasoline, and then if you're into RV parks, KOA has really got a good one. I'm not familiar with other ones because I'm not using the other ones. Maybe you folks can help us out with that. But great question, Rob. Wonder which ones are you using, sir? Let us know on that too. Okay, so this is, I said we were going to do these questions, a viewer question of the week at 15 after the hour. So if you tuned in specific because of the thumbnail, we want to get you updated right with that information. So this is the viewer question of the week, and let me bring this on screen for you. And this comes in from Will Green, and he was referencing the video I posted recently on my campsite sucks, and it did. And I recommend 4 things to do. One of those is stay in the shade. And his question is, can the Travado GL keep the cabin cool if you cannot find shade? Would the battery drain rapidly in its attempt to cool the cabin? And what if the opposite, if it's snowing and cold, could the heater keep the cabin warm, say in 20-degree Fahrenheit weather? Those are awesome questions, and particularly because it's a hot summer, we're going to talk about that. So I actually posted, I did not post an Instagram video that I made. We're going to maybe try it here in just a minute. The short answer to your question is no. If your van is in the sunlight, whether you have windows closed up or not, you are still sitting in a van. Now, my Travado is a 2019 model, and they've been insulating them more better, I would say, is what we hear from folks. I think the storytellers and the embassies may not have the same problem, but because they are really well insulated, my van is not. And even if I covered up all the windows, I could not keep that. I would not be able to keep the van cool if I was in the sunlight. So my best practice is to keep the van out of the sun, because the AC cannot keep up, and that is literally what is being shown here on this is the thermometer on the inside by the sliding patio door. And it had actually gone down 2 degrees when I took this picture. It was 89 degrees in here. I had come back from working at this particular KOA a couple days ago at the casino. I was really surprised to come back. Well, I wasn't surprised at all to come back and see it was 89 degrees inside. It was about 92 outside. And another proof point is I was in Dearborn, Michigan, at the Henry Ford Museum. Was in the shade in the morning time, but I didn't anticipate staying until museum closing hours at 4 p.m. By 4 p.m., I'd been in the sun probably for 5 hours, I'm going to guess. When I stepped in the van, that same thermometer read 101 degrees inside. I did not have the AC on. I was just using the Max Air fan, and with some of the windows cracked in their safety mode, it was evacuating some air, which would have been curious to see what it would have been without that. The bottom line here is you just need to keep your van out of the sunlight. Now, if you're trying to harvest solar, that is, you can't charge your lithium system off solar, is the bottom line. You got 200 or 300 amps or watts up on the ceiling. You're charging it, in my case, an 8700 watt energy pack, and this thing has been on full blast. My AC right now, if we take a look at it, it is 73 degrees in here. I've had it on low cool all day, and the reason it's 73 and not 88 is because I'm in the shade. I moved parks. That's the bottom line. Is just got to stay in the shade. So no, the cabin would not stay cool, and even if I covered up all the windows. It's a tin can, and it becomes a heat sink in the sun. And if you have a lighter colored van like white, that probably will be a little bit better, but really not much. And then your next question, Will, is on the zoom in here for you, is would the battery drain rapidly in its attempt to cool the cabin? Yeah, it's not so much the battery draining, but because the AC would not turn off, it would have it on full blast, and it would probably be run flat, I would say, probably in 6 hours, and it would still be 88 degrees inside, and that's the gotcha. One of the comments on the campsite sucks thing is, why can't you just run your Volta? Yes, you can run your Volta with a charge on demand off the engine, but it's putting in 10 to 20% into the energy pack in a 1 hour session, and you're consuming at least that much, so you'd never get ahead, is the bottom line. So in high degree heat, the only real way to have comfort for cooling is you got to find shore power. I had a viewer quite upset and got got Volta involved because he thought his Volta system was not working. It wasn't charging his battery. He was trying to go boondocking in the desert, literally not a tree around, in Arizona, I think it was, Needles, California, actually. And I spoke with him by phone for about 45 minutes. I'm like, dude, you're trying to do the wrong thing here. It's not meant to do that. Will it do it? Yes, but you're going to be miserable. And that's kind of the bottom line, is to have a good camping experience. It's a resource management. It's a temperature management. And when you're running your air conditioner full blast, the battery is just not going to make it for you. Now I could run 10 to 12, even 13 hours in a low cool mode with the temperature on the compressor driven up to about 78 degrees if I'm in the shade, and that makes a difference, and that's how we do that when we're running and you're driving a lot. But that kind of answers your question on the cooling. So my best practice is to stay out of the shade. Now Kathmandu is running his, I can't remember which, 6,000 BTU off solar. We'll have to figure that out. That is mind-boggling to me. And if you're trying to harvest solar, you got to be in the sunlight, which is completely defeating the purpose. And you ask about keeping the cabin warm. That is super easy. Propane through the Truma system burns hot, really hot heat. So that is not a problem. Never had an issue with that at all. But on Volta, again, electric heat is super taxing, very taxing. It's probably the most taxing energy on the Volta system, because you got you have two elements and they're burning about 2,600 watts, so that you can almost literally see the gauge going like this, because it's just consuming so much. So unless you're plugged into shore power for heat on electric, you want to run propane. And when it gets below 30, really 40, I would say, the electric heat can't keep up, doesn't burn as hot, and so you need propane. So great viewer question of the week. And I saw Keep Your Daydream did a similar video with some summertime heating, or cooling rather, tips. And I'm curious what tips you have, and if you have any, get them here. Now you may agree or disagree with me. Some people have mentioned tree limbs and other stuff. If there's going to be a storm, yeah, be careful of that. But the chances of branch hitting is way less than baking literally in the sun. I am not kidding. And the challenge is, again, ladies and gentlemen, is if your van gets so hot, like 88 degrees here, or 101 degrees when I was at the Henry Ford Museum, it takes at least 6 hours in the shade with the AC kind of running for that thing to even cool down to a comfortable temperature, maybe even 8 hours, because everything is so hot and it just retains that heat. So number one, you got to evacuate all the hot air, then you got to turn on the cool air, and it's, for being in the sun, to get some solar, it just makes no sense if you have a lithium system, or any system really. Sometimes you're able to park your rig in the shade, put solar panels out. That works for some people. I've never tried it. But great viewer question of the week this week. I really do appreciate that question, and I've really been experimenting with my my AC in the back, and I may never do a video because it would be pretty boring for many of you. But let me give you a hot tip from the Henry Ford Museum experience. Again, I rolled in, thing had been in the sun, I'd been baking the van for 5 hours, 101 degrees. I drove 20 minutes to a harvest hose site. I knew I couldn't get the van cool enough and let it run to make any meaningful difference to charge, because it was pretty charged. It was like 80-90%. The problem was it was so hot inside. So what I've done is I've experimented with the AC in the back. Now I have a G floor plan, which means I have a bedroom essentially, and when you lay the bed down, so 4x6 space back there, right, to sleep on. And what I did is I run the, and this is kind of a cool thing, test this if you have a Volta system, you can see how much energy is being consumed on the app, right? So running high cool or low cool, not auto. The difference is in auto, the fan turns off and the compressor turns off. On high or low cool, not auto, the fan continues to run even when the compressor is turned off. And for that fan to run continuously, it moves all kinds of air inside the rig, and it only consumes 100 watts. And you have the inverter on anyway to run the AC compressor. So my best practice is to have the fan on low or cool, low or high, and then adjust the temperature up so the compressor turns on. And in that case, I drove it up pretty high, about 80 degrees. And by having the fan blow on me And I was able to have that cycle be 10 minutes of the compressor off and about 90 seconds of the compressor on. And I was able to get through the night in pretty good comfort. Oh, one other big tip here: close the front baffle on the air conditioner unit. So you have the two little vents pointing at you and the one in the back door baffle open. Close the front. What we're trying to do is cool the bedroom, not cool the entire interior. That made a ginormous difference because I had those same two thermometers, one in the front right here, one in the back by the back door. I can see what the temperature difference is, and it was pretty cool. It was like 76 degrees when I woke up in the morning. It was 80 something up front because I was cooling the back, and I had a pretty good night's sleep. And that was my my little bit of an experiment. So fan on all the time, not auto. Close the front baffle, so you're cooling just the bedroom area. Now, if you have a K-floor plan where you're kind of sleeping in the middle of the van, that's probably not going to work as well. But I was pretty impressed. I was able to get through an entire evening rolling into my harvest host site when the van was so hot. Literally, it's like 6 p.m., right? So I had to get from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and in a super hot van. So some tips for you there. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you did, give a thumb up. Sure appreciate that. It's kind of wonky. It's hard to make videos around this stuff because it gets boring. Probably like you're bored with my stuff already. So let's check out some more folks here. And let's see who's coming in the house tonight. So here's somebody that has put a deposit down on an Integra Ethos. I am not familiar with that is. If somebody can help me out with that, that would be really fantastic. Congratulations for making a decision. Really admire that. Pulling the trigger, right? Here's Columbia, Maryland. First live for you. Hey, Robert, welcome. Thanks for being in the house tonight. Thanks for joining the live. Appreciate that. Here's aloha. Let's say this in the in Hawaii. There's a hi. Maybe they're in Hawaii too. Simi Valley. Interesting. Isn't that where the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library is? That is probably the best presidential library I've been in yet. Larry, thanks for being in the house tonight. Appreciate that. Yeah, this is the way to roll right here. 7 degrees with an ocean afternoon breeze. That's awesome. You got Houston in the house. Hey, Terry, what's up? Yeah, so this kind of goes along with our viewer question today around AC and heat. Toy Car Collector says, I find that if your van is hot, you have to run the cab AC and the roof AC to cool the van. And that's true. You can do it. It's fairly temporary. And the flip side of that is, as you run the engine, it becomes a heat sink in the cab. So if you're trying to charge your Volta running 3, 4, 5 hour sessions a day, you're just, I don't know. But yeah, I have done this where you can just blast the engine for a bit, maybe run a charge on demand like at the harvest host I did that night, to just get some cool air, just to augment the rooftop. But that's a good way to get some of the hot air tamped down. Great point. So here's Catman 2. The free roam app iPhone has a filter function that can allow you to search for campsites based on maximum temperature, among other things, but I've had trouble with the filter lately today. I'm not familiar with the free roam app. Last week we had the recommendation of Campground Reviews, I think it was .com. So that's interesting that high temperatures. Let me show you that this is the app that I use a lot because it's really good at showing showing the exact temperature where you are. So it's using GPS navigation. You see that? So this is specific to this area, like GPS mapping, right? In Tulsa. So it's 96. And what's cool is, there you can see that the full hours here. I'll get this off the screen so you can see that. So the full hour is coming up, right? But what I love to do is hit this map button, and as it builds out, you can have it show the temperature. Let me show that. So give it a second to build. And then it becomes the globe. Let me zoom in here. So yeah, you can see it's the globe, right? It takes a second to populate. And then you can spin the globe around and see where all the heat is around the Earth. And it is crazy. Man, this thing is slow tonight. 5G, here it goes. It is just crazy. This is, I alluded to Riyadh. That's all the dark. The black looking, really dark red is 100 degrees plus. And it's just a really cool tool. It alerts you to weather coming up. And spin this back around for you. I mean, the only place that's cool on Earth is like the poles. Even isn't our summer Australia's winter? There's Australia. Let's see what that comes up. I mean, it's pretty warm in the north, right? It's cool in the south, in the 40s. But even their winter is pretty warm this year. Getting baked by the sun. Thank you for that question. Appreciate that. Fredericksburg, Virginia, in the house. Hey, RC. Yeah, Vandemic. I spent a ton of money apparently because my reward last year, and they gave cash rewards. These aren't like points you gotta do some more stuff to. They give you cash. You go to the store and they will literally give you cash or write you a check. And I spent a ton of money. It was a couple years ago. I got like $1,800 back. I couldn't believe it. That means I spent like 90 grand. So it's kind of interesting. So here's Robert, and again, if you can help us with to see the questions with the 3 asterisk 3 question marks, that helps me find these. Bottom of the hour already. We'll flip through a few more of these, and then we'll share some more information with you. Robert Corin says, "Do you have any knowledge of the narrow road vans from Minnesota? Other than Embassy, can you comment on the advantages and disadvantage of contracting with a custom van builder?" Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not familiar with narrow road vans. That sounds kind of interesting. Let me write that down. Narrow road vans out of Minnesota. I am trying to track van builders down as I move through the country. There's a lot of them. Vans, Minnesota. And I can say the ones that I have met with are really innovative. Storyteller is probably the more producing more rigs than the other folks. Embassy's doing like a van a week basically. Rover Vans is doing maybe a van or two a month. But what I find is they're really tuning their build to what the customer wants, and within given constraints. And they really have an eye on attention to detail and really an eye on quality. They're going slow kind of on purpose. They're not Winnebago banging out a gazillion vans in a month, and Thor and the other folks too. And it's readily apparent when you step into either a boutique or a craft van. And the distinction for me is boutique is like an Embassy. They're putting out some degree of vans on a regular basis, where other guys are putting out 1 or 2 a month. Those are kind of the craft folks, really hand built, largely by the owner and maybe 1 or 2 staff people. So they can do more customization. For example, the Rover Vans, Peter, that was his personal. It was not his personal van; it was a customer van, but it was based on his personal van. And the customer did not want to deal with toilets and showers and all that stuff. Had no need for it. And that's not how his use case for his why of RVing was going to be met. So that's an example. And at Embassy, they have what's called controlled custom. He can do a lot of really cool things for the customer within guidelines of how he builds and why he builds. And so if I was to go get a brand new van, if they'd have a floor plan like what I have, I would probably take a really close look at them. Now, what was unique about Rover Vans, if you haven't seen that video, you should really watch the video. He does not want to get in the chassis business, Peter. And they're made in Chicago, in Glenview, I think it was, or Glenwood, something like that, northern suburb. He doesn't want to get in the chassis business. You bring the van to him, you pick what style of floor plan-ish you want, and he goes to town on it, and you get it in literally, I think he said just like 4 weeks. So if you're waiting for vans, it's largely because of chassis, and the big guys are doing floor plans that are tried and true. That's cool. But I loved his approach. Bring me a van, I'll build it out for you, charge you a fair rate, and they give you your van. He doesn't want to get in the chassis business. And Embassy kind of splits the road. They are in the chassis business, but you can also bring them a chassis. He said many customers do that. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. But if you have knowledge of a van builder, I want to get more of these folks to do tours, and because they generally have really interesting innovations that the other folks won't have, has been my experience so far. Somewhat limited, but I just love, and they're so passionate about why they do it, how they do it, and just that transferring of that passion is so apparent. Like when I was working with Peter, it was really great. And Embassy, right? Great questions. I'll have to look those up. If you know of a builder, shoot me at the GSLL viewer recommendation at gmail.com, because we want to contact these people. I've got a couple in the hopper right now, so thank you for that. Colorado in the house. Look at that. Let's keep these questions rolling in. So Mary, so Citi, it's a Citibank Citibank Visa card that's an affinity card with Costco. So if you're a Costco member, I would go talk to them right away. I think you have to, I don't know, it's been so long since I signed up. I love Costco. We've been Costco members for 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, hit their situation on the Costco card. Fantastic card. So Michael Clark wants to know, had any issues with the cassette shades? What he's talking about is this thing right here. And that would be a nope. Might have functioned flawlessly since day one. I have one on my sliding door that doesn't fold nicely and wrinkles up. Also, know of any mods for the shades to reflect heat away from the van. Yeah, there's a lot of folks that have really crazy window coverings. I don't. I have what came with my van because I don't cover my windows very often. And the irony is, Winnebago spent a lot of time making these fancy fold-over and insulated window coverings for the cargo doors, which makes a difference against glass, because the glass is black and the glass gets pretty warm. But to my knowledge, maybe I should be corrected, I don't know, but Winnebago is not insulating the insides of the cargo doors. I think Coachman is. He's talked about that before. And I think Terry may or may not. I don't know what Terry's doing there on the cargo doors. But it's a little bit of an irony to be worried about insulating the glass when your cargo door is a huge heat sink. And while there is an airspace, I mean, when that back door is in the sunlight, even this thing right here, I mean, this is just bare metal, right? There is no insulation on this door that I'm aware of, and it's hot. I mean, it's hot, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, people talk about the R value of the acrylic windows. Yeah, it's there, but again, the door is a huge heat sink, and transferring that right into the van. So while covering up your windows and stuff, will make a little bit of a difference, I think it's now the window shade in front makes a huge difference, and that's not insulated, just zooms up. But yeah, no problems with the cassette shades. My sliding door, I can't deploy it with the door closed, but my screen, it sometimes gets a little off track, and I just kind of tuck it back together, and so I've had no problems with that, and I use it all the time, which is great. So good question. Thank you, Michael. He and I spoke, I think, by phone just recently too, right? Yeah, Citi's the bank behind the Costco card. That's right. And they've improved their security thing lately. It used to be a real pain about 2 years ago. So if there's some weird-looking charge, I won't get into it. Safety first, right? I guess. Nashville. Oh my gosh. Hey, we're planning a Go Small Live Large VANBOREE and a Embassy RV guest campsite camp out. Nashville, first weekend in December. We're still trying to nail down the details. The campsite staff is not being super responsive, so more details soon. Yeah, Vandemic is correct here. Embassies are insulated as good as anyone can ask, and you can even hear it when I step in my van. It has a little bit of an echo-ish to it, and when you step into an Embassy, it's like you're stepping into a bank vault. There is no noise. And more on the insulation. So in my van, before I wrapped it, I had the kind of limousine paint around the windows. So there's a black stripe that took up about a third of the van. And I could literally take my hand and run it up and down the walls, and I could tell you where that stripe was and where it wasn't, because there's so little insulation in my van. Now, again, I think Winnebago's addressed that pretty readily, but my van, there's just not a lot of insulation, and not the wheel wells, none, no insulation. So pretty interesting. And yeah, Embassy, we just did a video with him. Part 2 is coming out this week. Or early next. But he gets into the build, how he does the building and the insulating, so you should see that. Pharaoh has a good question here. Is there a way to update your AC to a higher BTU? Yeah, you have to replace the whole system, probably, which I did with mine already once. I think mine's a 10,000 BTU. It's the Coleman Mach 3 NDQ. I was more interested in the NDQ, which is non-ducted quiet, because it was so noisy on the inside. Same capacity of cooling, to my knowledge, but the dramatic difference of quietness. So you'd have to replace the whole AC system, and to my knowledge, AC systems are hard to get right now because of part shortages and labor shortages and truck driver shortages and shortage of everything except, I don't know, fast food's still rolling. It's pretty amazing. But that's how you would probably have to do that. And here's RH saying that I'm assuming she's talking about Travado is better insulated. Yeah, it's good to know, because mine is we got a good crowd here tonight. This is great, because mine is not great. I tell you that. So this is an interesting question. Adam wants to know, hey, where is Luke? So Luke sadly died back in March, beginning of March of 2021. So we have no Vanlife Luke anymore. We're gonna get one when I get to my parents' house in Spokane, Washington, probably end of September, or we may wait till I get back to home base Florida around Christmas. So no Luke. His ashes are up on the dash, so he is here with us in spirit, and he would love to be here and waving his paws. He was shy on camera on the YouTube live. It was kind of funny. All right, so get your questions rolling in. There's a couple more good ones in here. Let's shift gears just slightly. Let me take that. But thanks for asking about Luke. Appreciate that. That's that little guy every day. He was so much fun to travel with, and he was such an icebreaker with all these people in these campgrounds and stuff. Okay, so let's roll into our RV news headline of the week. And this is, if you have a Volta system, they've upgraded their app to now be cloud-based. Now there's some interesting, let me zoom in here so you can take a look at this. What makes it cool is you can monitor your system from virtually anywhere. You get notifications, alerts, status changes, battery levels, and you can have peace of mind by knowing what the status of your Volta system is. I'm going through setting this up right now. You have to have two Bluetooth enabled devices. One has to be inside the van to talk to the cloud that talks to the device that's somewhere else outside the van. I'm not sure how I'm going to pull that out because I have my iPad and my phone with me all the time. I'm going to see if I can plug in one of my Macs and jerry rig it so it will be the Bluetooth device that's always in the rig, because I rarely take that out of the van. But at least, hey, if you have a device, maybe it's a spousal device or something like that, one stays in the van, you can now have Volta, my Volta Cloud. We're going to be talking about this more when Jack joins the show on August 12th. So that's our RV news. If you weren't aware of that, and you have your Volta system in your rig, you will want to get that for sure. And let me zoom ahead here, right there, and let's do this. Hey, if you're getting anything out of this tonight, sure appreciate a thumb up. Our channel's growing really nicely. Just past 15,000. I think we're almost at 15,400, which is amazing. And viewership is up, and all the numbers are pointing the right way. So just thank you for that again. So let's do viewer recommendation of the week. So this is a little bit from Chris and Sandy that joined us last week as guests on What's Up Wednesday, and I wanted to show you this. This was their viewer recommendation of the week, and I wanted to share this with you. I thought I was pretty good at being organized. This guy has got me. He's got me way out ahead. Look at this, and there's a tip right there. See how they're rolling your shirts into shorts, and so I roll my pants, my shorts, and my t-shirts, and that's a way to save space. But he has these smart design cabinet storage shelf rack. These are from Amazon, and then what he showed, we showed last week, is this. These come from Target. I'll put these links on in the show notes down below tonight. I didn't get that done before the show, but it's given me a whole new reason to get organized in my van. I really love this look here, and he uses they use China dishes and it's just given me a real reason to go and kind of rethink my storage, because I'm doing similar, but this looks so much better. So thank you, Chris, for sharing this. And again, I'll put the links in the show notes down below when the show's over tonight. So viewer recommendation: get organized, right? RV organized, and it makes a real difference. And they've got 2 people in their van, just one for me. So viewer recommendation of the week: RV organized. Kind of cool, right? Okay, let's see what other. Yeah, here's a great way to. So Dave PN'd up Pacific Northwest. Getting hot today at my campground in Oregon, so I drove up to the top of Mount Hood. Low 70s. Mount Hood's a volcano. It's probably got snow year round like Mount Rainier. But I mean, you can't escape the heat this year. Even going north has been super hot with that heat dome thing. So you have to drive up into the mountains. So good tip there. Hot Springs, Arkansas in the house. Yeah, this is a great tip right here. Best answer: drive to the right temperature. That's so true. Unless you can't escape it because it's everywhere. Yeah, shade is the secret. I can't tell you what a difference it is. And one more tip is you point the cab out of the sunlight. If you have if your cab is in the sunlight, you can add 10 to 15, maybe even 20 degrees on the front half of your van. Inside, it's just miserable. So point your cab out of the sunlight, have the van in the shade, and you will notice a dramatic difference. Just like today. I mean, it's a very comfortable 73 degrees in here. AC's been running all day, but it's when we show on the thing. Yeah, I mean it's 95 in Tulsa with humidity. It's 110. You just couldn't escape that. 73 degrees in here. Maybe 87, 90 degrees in here. Yeah, so Michael Clark is saying he's got the 2022 GL. It can never cool a van off in AZ during the summer. Take advantage of being mobile and move the rig to cooler climate. Yeah, this is one reason that, thank you, Michael, for that, Ginger Walkabout stopped traveling in the van in the summertime because it was so miserable. And you have to be plugged in shore power. And that's just the way you have to keep the AC running. The Volta systems and other lithionics type systems just aren't meant to run an AC 24/7 with a compressor on to keep a van moderately cool. I don't think that's what they were designed to do. So you have to be plugged into shore power, which is what I'm doing at this amazing. I might do a video about this campsite. I've only been in another RV park like once or twice before. It's a working person's RV park, Mingo in Tulsa. The greatest thing about them is they have amazing Wi-Fi until everybody gets home, and then it sucks. But during the daytime, it's in the 60 megabits up and down. It's just amazing. Okay. Let's see. Live, work, live. Do you use the MaxxAir fan outward to pull heat out? Yeah, for sure. I do pull the heat out, but it's not air conditioning, so you're just pulling that hot, humid air in. It would not work in this case. Now I upgraded my MaxxAir fan at Winnebago's Grand National Rally, which is going on this week, I think. So they replaced the circuit board, so it pushes air out and pulls air in. And in cooler climates, I have used the pull the cool air in feature instead of running the AC, and that's worked out pretty good in the past. So yeah, it's just you got just kind of learn how to manage your systems there. Great question. Okay, let's look at this. We're at the top of the hour here in just 12 minutes. Got some other good questions coming in. Let's look at this. So I'm asking for your help. This is my wanted poster. Let me zoom in for you. This audience again is growing in size and all the other cool metrics, but need your help. So if you know of a van builder that is even a DIY, I would love to know about them and talk with them, and maybe we bring them on the show like this. They could be a guest. We could do a virtual tour, or I hit them up and I meet with them face to face. Van builders and van tours are what I'm after, if you have your van that you would love to crow about and show the world how awesome your van is and what it does for you, I would be very interested in talking with you so that we can get more van tours and people using vans, building vans on the show. The other thing that would be super helpful is if you know somebody that's either thinks you're crazy for doing RVing or maybe is curious and wants to do it themselves, have them subscribe to this channel. With 15,000 people subscribed, if everybody just made one recommendation and referred one and that signed up, we would double in like a month, and that would be amazing. So if you can help us out with that, get your friends and family to sign up, and that way we're at least teaching them why you want to do it in addition to how you're going to do it, right? So we can work on both sides for you. And the other thing I want to ask for help is VANBOREE campground sites. And this is where we come together for a night or two, largely on vacant land, so we'd have to be self-contained, and trying to organize these things in RV parks and campgrounds. It's really hard to get everybody lined up together. So I need your help on this. And some of you have reached out to me with some space, and we'd be very respectful of your place, of course. But again, the email address is right below here, is gsllviewerrecommendation@gmail.com. Please hit me up with that. And if you're in a cool industry and want a behind-the-scenes tour without either of us going to jail, I would love to capture that if we could meet up and do some of that. One of the things I just remember best of We're the Russos, when they were in their van, they got kind of a back behind-the-scenes tour at some NASA thing. And I'm like, that's genius. So if you have something like that that you would like to share, whether you're a manufacturer of something, I think those things are really interesting. That's why I RV, is to go find cool things and cool people, places, right? So let's just share that together. And the last thing is, if you want to be an audience angel and invite me to stay in your driveway for a night, many of you have done that, and we have done that together, and we've had a lot of fun. And Tim and Kim out of Fort Worth, we just had a great time, and that helped kind of get Tim kicked down the road a little bit into getting into a van. So it's just a great couple, Tim and Kim in Fort Worth. So any of that, just again, reach out, gsllviewerrecommendation@gmail.com, and it would just be an honor to get to know you a little bit better and get some of these other van folks on the show. So here is Kathmandu coming in with a question. My panels are on the roof rack that's 6 inches above the roof. It helps keep the hot panels from touching the roof, allows for air circulation, and provides shade. 8 100-watt panels can make about 50 amps max, but you got to be in the sun. So yeah, I guess we kind of shade the top of the van, but it's got a bunch of sides. I would love to know. I mean, clearly you're very happy with it. Maybe you got a lot of insulation, and that's going to make a giant difference. But my personal experience is very different than yours here. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. But I think we all agree that anything in the shade is going to make a better temperature experience, right? Yeah, Deborah, it was kind of cool. I'm not sure I'll ever make a video about it because it would get kind of boring, but we'll see. Let's see. Here's Steve. Yeah, he's kind of confirming the front cab's a greenhouse. This is a GEG Steve. Yeah, I mean, covering up the glass certainly helps, but then you're kind of living in a cave, which I don't want to live in a cave. So Mary Dean's got an interesting question here. One issue is changing the title of the van to RV and getting RV insurance, which is cheaper. Not quite sure. One issue is changing the title of the van. I mean, they're titled as and categorized by the state that you're registering it with. Like when I converted mine from an Illinois title to a Florida title, they were kind of going off the Winnebago. It was really kind of bizarre. But if you are trying to just has it classified as a van and not an RV, and insurance is probably less expensive that way, the less complex systems, and it's just a vehicle, it's not a motorhome, essentially, it would probably be less expensive to have van insurance. The problem is if you have it loaded up with a bunch of stuff and you have a problem, a breakdown, theft, catches fire, I mean, anything kind of catastrophic, it wouldn't be covered as an RV, so you'd probably get just what the chassis would be worth. That's my guess. On the insurance stuff, I just tried to be upfront because there's so many ways they can get out of it. We just had a tree go down in one of our rentals, and if you know about big 200-year-old oak trees, it's catastrophic when they come down. And this is a huge limb, about a third of the tree come down, and the insurance will only pay to get the tree off of the covered property. Now the tree is really at risk of falling down altogether, and that comes out of my pocket. Even though when it comes down, it's going to hit the house, smash the second floor in the attic, causing tens of thousands of dollars, they will not pay to take the tree down. So I just, the insurance thing gets weird. I always, don't want them to come back and say, hey, you were trying to save a few bucks and it's not covered for what you're trying to do. So hopefully that's helpful, Mary Dean. I'm not quite sure I understand your question altogether, but let's see. Oh, Robert's checking in on love Peter's approach to rubber vans and Terry's innovation at Embassy. He's grateful for your videos introducing me to the two. Yeah, there's a bunch more coming. I'm communicating with quite a few folks. I think we're gonna have off-highway vans on the What's Up Wednesday show here coming up. We're talking with them right now. I can't get Storyteller to respond, so I thought I had a hot lead there. Maybe I'll reach out to the mustache guy, Tim, right? We'd love to have them on. They just have a very different approach to building vans. It's much slower, much more high quality. Oh, here's an interesting one. So spray starch on the shades. I think what Steven's talking about is this piece right here. That'll keep them kind of stiff, right? Stiff and like a lot of starch on a shirt. That's an interesting idea. I like that. I wonder if that works on the bug screens. You probably don't want to spray those because it would turn them white. Let's see. Here's Kevin's got a question. We'll go for about another 5 minutes. We got a few more topics, but Kevin's got an interesting question. What about bears? Do you need to remove food from your van and avoid cooking in it when in bear country? I would say I've not been in that situation. That's why I'm not a boondocker out in the middle of the woods, because I don't like bugs, bears, and I need to have light around me to some degree. So I'm not the best equipped to answer this, but my guess is you would probably want to have all your food inside. I don't think they'd tear your van apart to get to the food, but food left out would be an attractant, would be my guess. And I don't think cooking would make a much difference. I'd have bear spray with me. I got bear spray in my van, mostly for people, not bears. But maybe somebody has a better answer here for you. I'm an urban cowboy, so about as rugged as I get is, I just don't go in the woods for weeks on end. That's just not the way I roll. So here's some, but great question. Thank you, Kevin. Hopefully that was moderately helpful. A lot of questions here, or a lot of comments on the Costco. Yeah, I use it exclusively. You pay the thing off, and it's just, it's a great card. Oh, Sherry's in Nashville. Oh my gosh, at Johnny Cash's farm. I think it'll be December. Yeah, it'll be definitely cooler in December. Love all the tips. Thank you. Did you get your van, Sherry? You gotta let us know. It was just literally, we talked to Embassy Live last week, right? And I think yours was coming off the line. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is our viewer song of the week. I love to do these. I'm just infatuated with music. I've discovered so much music as part of my van and RV adventures lifestyle. And I'll zoom in here so you can see this. This comes from Michael C. in his he's chimed in a little bit tonight. This is viewer song "The Open Road" by Hollow Codes, and it's a pretty cool song. He submitted a number of them. This one really caught my ear. So again, send in your tips on music, and we got Peck Pick coming up here in just a minute. Because I listen to these things, and it's so nice to hear what goes into your ears. And this is what this whole thing is about: is learning, sharing, and just being better people, better better citizens, better human beings, right? And I think music is something very special to the human condition. And it was a great song. Thank you, Michael, for submitting that. Which kind of brings us to our pet pick of the week. Let me zoom in here so you can see this. This comes from Deborah. also in a Travado. Dog's name is Tigger. I had to do a little inset with the dog so you can see the expression on the dog's face. And the byline is she's coming back, right? As in that's what the dog is thinking, and just the cutest thing. And boy, in heat like this, you will definitely want to put a sign in your windows, passenger and driver, that there's a pet inside in an air-conditioned environment. Being now with Volta MyCloud, you can monitor the condition of the energy pack, because what you don't want, and then a phone number they can call, because if you have a dog in a van and people think it's 101 degrees inside, they're going to call the police, and it's not going to have a happy ending probably. For the glass, so that would be a tip. I had one when I had Luke with me, and that tip came from Chad and Paul, and they are in a storyteller with their dog Orlando, so that's where that tip come from. If you have not followed them, be sure to follow them. They have a great channel, and they're in a storyteller, which is really a pretty sweet rig. So maybe just a couple more questions here. Let me get this off as we kind of wind down the show. Yes. And so Simply Sonora wants to know, good evening, everyone. How is Route 66 going? I am having a blast. I'm getting my kicks on Route 66. There is no doubt about it. The challenge I'm running into, is that I'm driving too fast to get ahead of the video. So I'm actually staying in the Tulsa area. I have to fly out for a few days, fly back. But I'm doing a bunch of video work to get the videos up to this point uploaded, so I make them small and short. But there's so much to do and see. That's why I'm excited to these roundups and these caravans. There's something just... It's amazing to think of how motoring would have been in the 1940s. There was no freeways. They had these all steel tanks that got really bad gas mileage, I would think. And there was not a lot of services, and so they ran this road, Route 66, and it is the back road today, and that's narrow. Wait till you see some of these bridges. I don't know how they got two of these big cars across the bridge at the same time, but I am learning so much, and it's just been an exclamation point on why I love the RV and why I've got to get this shared out. What I'm trying not to do is get too far ahead driving wise versus the content, so I'm working diligently to get that out. But if you are near Route 66 at all and we're doing a roundup or a caravan, please join me. When we were in Pontiac, Illinois, the folks that were there got to experience actually driving and taking selfies on the original road. And Kyle and I went around the road ends and actually drove on the original pavement, which was super emotional for me. He's like, it's a broken up road, what's up? I'm like, but it's Route 66. So it's been a very emotional journey for me, and I'm hoping to convey some of that through the videos. Thank you for asking. We got a long way to go. I'm in Tulsa, be at Oklahoma City next week, and then we're going to Amarillo, and then it gets a little more sparse, so maybe we can make up more mileage. But I'm hoping to be in Los Angeles by end of August. That's the goal, without going too fast. What I don't want to do is not post the content, because that's the whole point, right? Thank you for asking. I am just, it's just, and everybody along it is like, wow, you're really doing the whole thing, and it goes back to Chris and Cassandra. They were on the show last week, right? Their Instagram channel is Beyond Intentions, and the whole point there is to get beyond intention into action. And you wouldn't believe how many people I've run into. It's like, oh, I've always wanted to do that. What's keeping you? And you don't have to run the whole thing, but I would recommend Illinois. If you can do Illinois, there's a lot to do and see in Illinois, and running parallel with the road. There's supposedly quite a bit in Oklahoma, so I'm excited about that. Missouri, there's quite a bit, but if you get a chance to do Illinois, that's and start downtown Chicago and just run to Pontiac, just that little bit, and maybe even down to Springfield. That was pretty cool. It's a very easy drive and very informational. So thank you for asking. Okay, we'll go just a few more minutes. Let's see here. So Michael Clark wants to know, do you still have to have that unit attached to the Volta gauge to use the Volta app for monitoring? Yes. Similar to the one Kevin had in his old National Park Edition Travado. Yeah, I think you have to have the Bluetooth module. All the new ones come with that. If you have an older one, spend less like $200 and it's DIY, super easy to install. And then that's what talks to the Bluetooth device, like a phone or something that stays in the van. That's something I'm wishing it. And you have to have Wi-Fi. I mean, there's a number of conditions that need to be met. So it's not quite awesome in that it's full-time capability of seeing what's going on with your Volta system, but it's a heck of a lot better than not knowing, and that's kind of the good thing for me. So as I come and start working on it, I'll probably make a video on it. I'm already talking about Volta to get some of that done. So a good question. Stay tuned on that. Yeah, thumb up. If you got anything out of this tonight? Wow, we have a big group tonight, and a lot of folks stayed around. This is great. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I'm really eager to get to the Northeast next year. Yeah, hey Donna. We're doing a roundup in Tulsa next Thursday at, well, go to my website. It's all the information's right there. Get a free ticket. And we're going to be at Hank's Hamburgers on Route 66, which this park is literally a half mile from that. So I'm really, really excited. A joy to meet you. There's Kim. You're welcome. Okay, for insurance purpose, I again would just be really careful about that. But hey, we learn, we share. You decide what's best for you. I gotcha. Okay, so what she's talking about here is referring to the van conversion companies after buying the vehicle. You know, that's a great question. That'd be a great question to ask Peter, because if you take a van, you build it up to be a mobile home, basically a motorhome. It probably is classified differently. I mean, if you want your stuff covered, that you just put 50 grand worth of all the stuff inside, my guess is you would want it covered, and you would need to retitle it as a motorhome, and then it has to be insured as a motorhome. Otherwise, somebody broadsides you, and they're going to pay for a chassis. That's my guess. Good question. That's a good point. Michael's talking about, I used to do a 60-second Sunday way back in the day. Man, there's a lot of questions in here still. Let's see. There is, let's see, look for questions. Oh, Live Work Live. Oh, what's we'll have to find you on YouTube. Congratulations, uploading your first video ever. And if you haven't hit up Beyond Intentions on YouTube, I was our 12th subscriber. I'll never forget those first couple dozen subscribers after Friends and Family. And when I got to 100, it's like, oh my God, that's so cool. 100 people are interested in what I have to say. So congratulations. I'm really proud of you. And we'll have to hit you up and check out your channel. Lots more coming up, folks. But we are going to call a wrap on this tonight. And as always, I just say, a giant thank you. Each and every one of you drive me forward so much. And meeting you in person is just such a pleasure. Like Ron and Rhonda in Springfield, Missouri, just a week ago. And that's what it's really all about. It's just learning together, exploring together, fellowship. Don't have to be a full-timer to get a lot out of an RV. And I just want to thank you so much. You are all very, very important to me. And a little melancholy today, maybe. I can hear it in my voice. So anyway, thank you. We will see you next Wednesday on What's Up Wednesday, and we'll see you on the small screen very soon. Thank you very much. Until you see you soon, I wish you to journey on. Adios.